The pirates believed they were ambushing an unprotected cargo convoy until the first return transmission revealed they had just attacked the wrong ships. In the early hours of a calm morning along one of the world's busiest maritime trade corridors, a multi-ship cargo convoy moved steadily through open waters. The route had long been considered a moderate-risk piracy zone, dangerous enough to require vigilance, but routine enough that commercial shipping continued daily. The convoy consisted of several container vessels escorted at a distance by what appeared to be standard maritime security support. Nothing unusual, nothing heavily armed, nothing that would immediately discourage opportunistic attackers. To anyone observing from afar, it looked like a predictable target, slow, valuable, and lightly protected. But that morning, something about this convoy was different, something the approaching pirates had no way of knowing. Shortly after sunrise, radar operators aboard one of the convoy vessels detected several fast-moving contacts approaching from multiple directions. At first, they appeared to be fishing boats, common traffic in the region, but their coordinated movement pattern raised concern. Within minutes, the contacts accelerated. Crew members on deck began spotting long, narrow skiffs cutting sharply across the waterline, engines roaring at full throttle. The vessels maintained tight formation, clearly trained for interception maneuvers rather than fishing operations. Security teams issued the first alert across the convoy frequency, possible hostile approach, maintain defensive posture. On the attacking boats, heavily armed pirate teams prepared boarding ladders and assault rifles, confident they were about to intercept another routine commercial shipment, one more high-value prize in a region where slow cargo ships had often proven easy targets. At that moment, both sides were moving toward the same confrontation, but only one side fully understood what was happening. The pirate skiffs closed in rapidly, splitting into separate attack vectors designed to overwhelm the convoy's defenses. Warning sirens began sounding across multiple ships as defensive crews activated emergency protocols. Water cannons were pressurized, emergency communication channels opened, and defensive watch teams took their positions. From the pirates' perspective, the convoy's reaction seemed typical: loud alarms, evasive maneuvering, and defensive attempts to buy time. Everything matched the pattern they had seen many times before. But then something unusual happened. Instead of scattering or slowing down, the convoy maintained tight formation. Radio silence replaced the usual panicked commercial chatter, and several ships adjusted their headings with coordinated precision, far too organized for a group of independent merchant vessels. The attackers noticed the difference, but by then they were already too close to withdraw without abandoning the operation entirely. As the first pirate skiffs approached boarding range, they encountered unexpectedly aggressive defensive measures. High-pressure water cannons forced several boats to veer away, while defensive teams deployed non-lethal deterrent rounds designed to disable approach attempts without escalating immediately to lethal force. Still believing they were facing standard commercial resistance, the attackers pushed forward, attempting to outmaneuver the defensive systems. Additional pirate boats surged in from the flanks, attempting simultaneous boarding on multiple ships to overwhelm the convoy. Inside the convoy command channel, however, the situation was unfolding very differently. Encrypted communications were already active, surveillance drones had been launched, and several vessels within the convoy previously indistinguishable from civilian ships were now shifting into coordinated response positions. What the attackers believed was a vulnerable commercial shipment was, in reality, part of a protected logistics movement operating under layered security protocols. The pirates had unknowingly initiated an engagement far beyond what they expected. The confrontation reached its most dangerous moment when one pirate skiff managed to approach dangerously close to a midline cargo vessel. Armed attackers prepared to secure boarding hooks, believing they had finally broken through the defensive perimeter. At that exact moment, a previously silent escort vessel accelerated forward, positioning itself directly between the attackers and the convoy's centerline ships. Over open maritime radio channels, a firm multilingual warning broadcast cut through the air. Unidentified armed vessels, disengage immediately. You are approaching a protected convoy. For a brief moment, neither side moved. Then additional support ships previously maintaining distance beyond visual detection began closing in from multiple directions. Their sudden appearance transformed the tactical picture almost instantly. What had looked like a scattered convoy now revealed itself as a coordinated, layered formation with concealed escort support. The pirates realized, almost simultaneously, that the situation had shifted from an easy interception to a potential entrapment. The attackers' central miscalculation became clear. The convoy they believed to be a vulnerable civilian shipment was part of a monitored logistics corridor operating under joint international maritime protection. Several ships within the formation were equipped with advanced surveillance systems and trained defensive security teams, while additional naval-capable support vessels had been shadowing the convoy outside immediate visual range. As more escort vessels appeared on the horizon and aerial surveillance assets moved into position, the pirates faced a rapidly narrowing escape window. Their initial advantage speed and surprise had evaporated. Instead of surrounding the convoy, they now found themselves increasingly surrounded. Within minutes, pirate skiffs began disengaging, turning sharply away at high speed in an attempt to flee before interception forces could close the distance. What began as a confident assault quickly transformed into a full retreat. The attack had failed not because the convoy was heavily visible armed but because its real defensive structure had been hidden until the exact moment it was needed. As the attackers withdrew, convoy vessels maintained formation while escort units tracked the fleeing boats to ensure they exited the operational security perimeter. No successful boarding occurred, and no cargo vessels were captured. Damage remained minimal, limited primarily to minor structural impacts from high-speed maneuvering and defensive countermeasures. More importantly, the convoy continued its route without disruption, completing the transit safely under continued escort surveillance. For the attackers, the attempted operation ended not with profit, but with a costly lesson in misidentification and intelligence failure. Maritime analysts later noted that the incident demonstrated a critical shift in modern convoy protection strategy. Visibility is no longer the primary deterrent, uncertainty is. By blending civilian-appearing logistics vessels with layered defensive coordination operating just beyond immediate detection, modern convoy systems force attackers to operate without full situational awareness. And in high-risk maritime zones, that uncertainty can be enough to prevent an attack or end it quickly once it begins, because sometimes the most decisive defense is not overwhelming firepower. Sometimes it is letting the attackers believe they chose the right target until they realize they didn't.